Good morning all, and really lovely to see you this Monday morning at the start of the week. So we'll start today, hands coming down to the knees, and if you like to use one of the mudras, index finger to thumb is a nice way to start, and palms lifting up, so we're going to get that little rise of energy up through the spine, through the body. Now make sure you're comfortable here. Do make any last minute adjustments with cushions underneath hips or blocks underneath knees. And then finding a seat, comfortable seat. And as you draw your spine up, fill space along its length and lifting that space up through each and every vertebrae, up through the back of the neck. Just be aware of that pivot point, you know, where your spine connects to the skull, your C7 at the neck. Just making sure there's space there, so that lift carries on up and into the skull. And letting your eyes shut when you're there. Practice today to set your week. And to explore how we move within the body. And how we connect to that movement. So often, life is busy and we often have a whole plethora of things that we have to get done in our waking hours. But even if we don't, the mind can still be busy. That connection we have, that living, breathing connection we have with our body, can sometimes or often get put to the side. And yet, being present, connected to our body, is really the only way to be present. To be conscious, aware, appreciate each footstep as it comes. Letting ourselves travel with the flow of our body, rather than something we may superimpose upon ourselves. Trusting our body's wisdom. So as you follow now the rise and the fall of your breath, into this flow, bringing a sense of appreciation into the body. And in the rise and fall of breath, feeling your energy as rain, a light rain shower. That's touching each and every cell, bringing life into each and every part of this architecture. Stretching out your fingers now, releasing thumb, index finger, and stretching out the thumb and the index finger to join the others. Your eyes opening again, palms in the lap. And a deep in-breath, we'll lift up the palms. Now go slowly here, so really reaching up feeling connection with your fingertips. You can take your gaze up as your palms arrive above the crown, and then breathing out, letting the palms float facing downwards, down along the front of the body. And once there, left hand on top of the right, right hand on top of the left. So that doesn't make sense. Left hand first and then right hand on top. And bringing palms down to the belly. Connect your thumbs. And just feeling your breath. Lightly easing, releasing your hands in contact with your abdomen. And as well as your breath, being aware of the breath to the front of the body, where your hands are, also feel the draw of the breath behind you. So the area behind the hands, just at the back of the spine. Almost like someone has caught hold of your top, whatever you're wearing, and it's just lightly pulling it out behind you as you breathe. And then, hands coming to the lap. You may want to stretch out your legs here. They're feeling a bit tight in the crossed leg, or just change your position. But come into an easy twist, just right hand reaching behind you, lifting up through the spine, and arriving into a twist over to the right. Now, as you do twist, make sure your pelvis is feeling anchored, and you're feeling both sides of the pelvis. The left side may want to lift up and around as you twist. So you want to feel anchored, so you're twisting along the spine rather than twisting the pelvis. When you've breathed a few full deep breaths, as your breath relax, we'll come round and we'll do the same on the opposite side. So again, anchored pelvis. May feel slightly different from one side to the other. And then you can come into your twist. And whatever the feeling is, we'll take a few deep breaths here. And arriving back into your center line and coming up into standing, feet hips width apart from one another. And arriving feet anchored down to the floor. And to help that sense of connection through your feet, you lift up your toes and you stretch out across the ball of the foot. And then you can drop the toes down. And once you've anchored each and every one, see if you can now relax your body's weight. So rather than clenching, you are at all the floor. Toes are just relaxing, resting downwards. You can feel your body's weight transferring down into the legs and into the sole of the foot. Very slight lift as you breathe in of the heels. Now still feel that anchoring through the balls of the feet and your 10 toes, even as the heels are lifting you into a gentle balance here. And then dropping your heels down, all 4 edges now of the feet connected to earth. Palms turning out to the sides, and just shrug out your shoulders here a couple of times, really set the shoulders back. in their sockets. And letting your palms now just rest to the sides of the body and bend your knees. Now sinking down into the feet here, knees slightly bent, allowing your sit bone to lengthen down. So you don't need to tuck it under too much so when you jump forward, just a lengthening down towards the mat through the sit bones. In breath, arms will travel either sides of the body as your gaze travels upwards. Over 1 or 2 rounds of breath, and out breath, root into your feet as your legs straighten and your hands float down. The same again, we're sinking down into the feet, and the arms will start to travel up either sides of the body. Take your time here, so you stay connected to yourself rather than kind of almost thinking, needing to get to the end of this. Another out breath, riding back down. And this time, starting the same, sinking downwards, hands lifting up above the head. But we're going to bring the hands down to that little knobbly bit at the back of the spine at your C7s, at the top of the neck. You can just lean forward to identify it, just find that little nodule, and then just massaging around there with your fingertips. Same time your elbows are easing out to the sides, you're giving yourself a bit of a stretch here across the chest, as well as releasing anything that may want to be released around the neck. From here, you're going to breathe out through your mouth as your arms come down in front of you. In breath, lift up the arms, look up. And we'll do the same, breathing out through the mouth, sighing the breath out. One more time. And letting your arms float up this time, lifting up through the legs, gazing up to the ceiling, creating a V shape with the arms, and a deep in-breath. Breathing out. Now let your body fold however it wants to fold, down into a forward fold, standing fold. And when you're there, do you see how it feels to bring a little bit of movement into the base of the spine? However your spine is wanting you to move here, to find some ease within your forward fold. You keep a bit of bend through the legs so your hamstrings feel tight. And then lifting up again, breathing in, rolling the spine up, root down to your feet, arms lifting above the head, and out breath arriving to the heart. And your elbows are out to the sides here, so you keep that openness, a sense of stretching out across the chest. Hands at the heart. And then taking your right hand over to your left shoulder, left hand over to right, hold your elbows out in front of you. And you've got a little, I don't know what you'd call it, a little structure here in front of you. Bend your knees. And we'll open out the arms out to the sides of the body. Shrug your shoulders up. Release your neck. And let your shoulders relax down. Open up the neck. Another in-breath, we'll do the same. Shoulders rise. Out-breath, shoulders releasing down. This time the arms will rise as you breathe in. And out-breath again. Again finding your way down your center line into forward fold. And you give yourself a nice deep out breath here through the mouth in your forward fold, along with a little bit of sway through the spine. Now, in your forward fold, start to shrug out your right shoulder and start to shrug out your left shoulder. Doing the same with your right shoulder and the same with the left. And then lengthening out your spine, offering it forwards. Start to draw your hands up your knees just a little bit, up to the tops of the knees, and lengthen, look forward. Soften your gaze here. And out breath, folding down again into forward fold. You rotate your feet if you're facing the long edge of the mat, so you're now facing the short edge of your mat. We'll do the same again, bringing hands up to the knees, a little bit of bend through the backs of the knees if your hamstrings feel tight. And once you're there in your L shape, draw your shoulders back again, rotate them back. And in doing so, it just gives your spine a bit more space to lengthen. And you can bring your hands just up to the top of the neck, just massage into that joining point of spine to skull. And then hands coming back down again, connect them to the floor, and we'll step back into down dog. Now arriving in down dog, we bend the right knee, and we're going to ease back into the left leg, rooting down into your left heel. After 1 or 2 breaths there, bending your left knee, and you're rooting back into your right heel. Both heels lifting now. Lift them skywards as high as you can, and imagine your concertina in your belly towards your thighs. Then looking forward and bringing both knees down to the mat, and breathing out, flat feet, drawing your pelvis back to your heels, and your arms are stretched out in front of you, and you can come up onto the fingertips here. Your hands will come back down to the mat now. You look forward, out in front of you, past your hands, and starting to let your spine travel in that direction onto the belly. In breath, we take a little lift up through the spine. And out breath, we bring the spine down. So arriving back on the belly, this time we're going to lift the legs. The chest, the head are still connected to the floor along with your hands. So breathing in, the legs will lift. One more out, in breath, and then as you breathe out, lowering the legs down. Coming into a baby cobra now, breathing in and finding your way back and onto all fours. Just check the symmetry through hands and knees and feet. And a nice level spine, drawing the belly up a little bit to support the base of the spine. And breathing in, we'll take the right hand underneath the left, scooping the hand underneath. You'll lie down on your right temple, but we're going to move out, breathing out. Right hand will lift up, and you'll breathe in at the height of that lift. Breathing out, scoop the right hand underneath the left. And breathing in, right hand will lift up. Do the same, another couple of rounds. And we do one more together. And your right hand can come down to join the left. Once there, taking your palms out, taking your fingers out, either to the sides of the mat so they're facing out towards the long edges, or else rotating your palms all the way around so your fingers are facing back towards you. So you'll feel quite a strong opening through the wrists there. Take your spine forward, breathe in, take your spine back, breathe out. Take spine forward, in-breath, and taking your spine back, breathe out. One more. And turning your hands round, your back onto all fours again. So this time with the left hand, we're going to scoop it under, breathing out, and breathing in, left hand will lift up, and then breathing out again onto another round. Take your time here, so you're really working with your breath. We're doing up to 5 rounds or so you've got time to relax into the rhythm of breath. And we'll do the last round together. And arriving back and onto all fours. Again, fingers can point forward here, but if you want to open the wrists a little bit more, go to that next stage, fingers out to the sides, or else flipping them the whole way round. And once there, we'll arch the spine, the gaze will come up, and you'll just move your pelvis slightly with an arched spine from side to side, just so you feel your spine on a diagonal. Keep the arch through your upper spine bone, and from your sit bones, follow that arch all the way along the body. So now, tucking your pelvis under and feeling the curve of the spine. And with that curve of the spine, that sense of being drawn, the back of the spine being drawn up towards the ceiling, again, take your spine on the diagonal. So hips will sway to the right and the spine will travel on a diagonal, so your head is facing to the left. And then you'll reverse that, just swaying from side to side. And with your next round of breath, you can take your fingers forward again. And with fingers forward, you'll tuck under your toes. Now, really try to tuck the toes under as much as you can. So you're easing back through the arches into the heels. And then we come into a few rounds of cat and cow. Out breath, spine curving, and in breath, spine arching. Your breath is guiding you. The rhythm of a breath, you can really deepen it, really luxuriate in the breath in. Immerse yourself in the breath. Coming into another round. And then from this round, finding your way up and into down dog. Toes are tucked under, so lifting the knees. Drawing the chest back towards your thighs, almost like you're feeling that concertina effect again. Heels can lift. Still keep concertinaing the chest towards your thighs. And dropping your heels down as you breathe out. Stepping the left foot through between the hands. Take your time there to feel comfortable. You're in a high lunge here to start with, and we'll just lower, sink down the pelvis a little bit. Anchor weight down into your front foot as much as into your back heel. And right knee touching the floor. Keeping your right hand on the floor, you can pop a block underneath it. In breath, left arm will lift up. Out breath, left hand will come down. In breath, again lift up your left arm. And out breath, riding down. One more round, keep the feet anchored. Keep lowering the pelvis down towards the floor. And your left hand will come down. And then with your hands connected to the mat, finding your way up and back into down dog. Keep concertinaing your chest towards your thighs. But rather than drawing the thighs forward towards your chest, you're drawing the chest back towards the thighs as they're drawing back as well. In breath, right foot will step forward. Now you've got the toes of the back foot tucked under, and starting in your high lunge, make sure your knees not coming forward past this front foot. We'll drop the pelvis down a little bit. Feel that lovely stretch all the way along the back of the body. And anchoring the weight down into your front foot as well as your back foot. We'll drop the left knee down. This time, left hand stays where it is. You can raise it up on a block. And we're lifting the right hand. In breath, right arm will lift. And out breath, right arm coming down. We'll do 2 more rounds of breath. Rising, falling with the right arm. Right hand now arriving back with the left, anchor down both hands, right foot stepping back to join the left. Anchor down your heels. And taking your spine on a diagonal, so as your pelvis tilts out to the right, you're bringing the head towards the left side of the body. Almost like you're leaning into the right side of the body. Now reverse direction, so pelvis will come out to the left, leaning into that left hip, and your head's reaching out towards the right. Arrive back into your center line. Look forward, breathe in, and take the weight of the body forward so your shoulders are above your hands, and you can shuffle your feet back here. So you arrive comfortably into a plank. Won't be here long, but we're going to take 3 full rounds of breath here. Do bring your knees down there at any point you prefer to. Keep the mind soft, even though each breath may feel like a little bit of an eternity. Just one more. And easing back into down dog. And arriving down on all fours. Well done. Right back on your heels now from your all fours. You've got a few resting breaths here. Hands can slide in a little bit, forehead down to the mat. Light touch of forehead on the floor, proper cushion underneath the forehead if you prefer. And from your next round of breath, again looking forward between the hands, past the hands, and we're going to let the spine travel low to the ground, past that point to arrive on your belly. Now forehead down, hands down, the front of the body down, as you then lift your legs and stretch back into your toes as the legs lift. We'll take 3 to 5 rounds of breath here. Just note if your breath wants to rush here. Can you just allow slow it down a little bit, so even if you're taking less breaths, you've got that fullness of breath. Okay, let's go. Keep the stretch out, the last round of breath, that lift out through the thighs as well as the shins into your heels, toes pointing. And lowering the legs back down. Rest on your chin now, so you're looking forward. Now with your feet anchored, the fronts of the legs anchored on the mat, we're now going to lift up the chest, just a little baby cobra, and the head and the hands. You won't lift very far off the mat, so you've got all this weight along the trunk to lift. Again, we're going to try and do 3 rounds of breath. So lifting the chest, lifting the hands, and arriving in your next round, and arriving back down. Bending your knees, and with knees bent, windscreen washing them slowly from side to side. Then bringing the toes, the heels in towards your bottom, as close as you can, If you can reach round and get hold of the ankles here, that's all good. If not, just reaching out behind, you can catch hold of your trouser legs. And catching hold of the ankles, you may be able to draw the heels actually into the bottom. Now we're opening up into upward bow here. So you're going to start pushing your feet, holding them still, or catching hold of trouser legs. Push your feet back behind you. Keep holding on and use that lever to lift up into the chest. And arriving back down again onto the mat. Hands underneath the shoulders as the legs release back down. In breath, a slow lift into your cobra. And out breath, arriving back and into down dog. Bending your left knee marginally, lift up your right leg, stretch it out behind you. And we're taking right foot through between hands. Again, you're in your high lunge. You can drop your pelvis down a little bit there. In breath, right arm will lift up. Out breath, right arm will come down. Lifting your left arm now. In breath, left arm will lift up. Out breath, left arm down. One more round, both sides. And dropping your left knee back down to the floor. Your left knee now is on the mat. Slide it back a little bit. Look forward, lift up onto your fingertips, low pelvis. And your fingers coming down, toes tucking under, and start to straighten out your front leg. So you're coming into a half splits. You can lift the toes off the floor of the right foot. You can come up onto your fingertips with the with both hands. Breathe in, look forward, and breathe out, lengthening down the length of the leg. Now resist the temptation to curve in here. Keep the length through your spine. So you're reaching out towards your right toes. Nice deep stretch along your hamstrings. Plant your right foot back down. Plant your hands either sides of your right foot. Toes tucking under with the left leg and lifting up and back. Stretch out the right leg as you arrive in down dog on 3 points. And letting your right leg arrive back to the floor. Little bit of movement through the spine, however you feel to move here. Maybe from side to sides, or just enjoying the stillness of your down dog. And when you're ready to, we're doing the other side. Got that marginal bend through your right knee. And then you're lifting up your left leg. Keep that marginal bend through the right knee as you stretch out into the left leg. And left foot will come through between hands. Now hands straining the front leg. You're in a high lunge here, dropping the pelvis down as low as you can. And we're taking 2 or 3 rounds of breath, lifting each hand in turn into the side stretch. So left arm first, in breath, lifts up. Out breath, left arm down, onto the right arm, both sides again. And on to the other side. Right knee coming down now. Just taking a few breaths here, lifting up onto the fingertips, lengthening out through the spine, allowing the pelvis to release there. Note if your breath is traveling too fast. Don't say too fast, but if your mind's racing and the breath's struggling to keep up there, just keep listening inwards. And then easing back and into your half splits. So toes are lifting up of the left foot. We're keeping the length along the spine as you look past the toes. Breathe in and lengthen. And breathing out, folding down the length of that front leg. Keep a little bit of bend through the front knee, so that's more comfortable. Arriving back now into your down dog, we're going to stretch the left leg back out behind us as we arrive there. Big in-breath, stretch out into the left toes, and out breath, left foot comes down. Arriving in your down dog, root down into your heels. Gain that concertina in action of drawing the chest towards the thighs at the same time your thighs are drawing back. And in-breath, arriving down onto the knees, and out-breath, arriving back into child. This time we take hands either sides of the body. Soft touch of your forehead as you come down into your child with the mat. Rising up with your next round of breath. And arriving in kneeling, hands coming onto the knees. We come back into the mudra, index finger to thumb, palms turned up. Find the lift through your spine. Yourself. Breathe a pathway into stillness. Feeling clarity within the breath. Feeling the peace of your breath. Feeling the peace of being present present to yourself in your breath, with your breath in this moment. Your eyes opening again when you're ready. And we come into a wide-legged stance on the mat. Should put a disclaimer there really in finding peace in body with breath and all the rest. If at that point the peace may come, it may not come. It is a bit of a gift when it does, always lovely when it arrives. It does pass, as all gifts do. Maybe to say though that if your mind is racing at those points, and yeah, sure, one might settle for a few breaths and suddenly there's that sense of, well, what next? What next? Am I still meant to be here? What's going on? The wheels start again. Just responding to that, noting that, that is the nature of mind as well. Can you still hold space though when the mind is wanting to start kicking off a little bit? That is the discipline, I suppose. So we're in this wide leg stance here, pelvis anchored on the mat. We're going to slide the right hand down the right leg and towards the inner edge of the right foot. Doesn't matter if you don't get there, just somewhere along that inner right leg. Now, left hand's on the pelvis. Start to rotate your pelvis upwards towards, start again. Left hand's on the pelvis, on the left hip. Now start to rotate your spine, not the pelvis, up towards the ceiling. Soft gaze up. Left hand can follow. Upwards. Slowly you can lean the spine down towards the right leg, along its length. Let your breath guide you here. So you're not pulling your spine down. It's almost like gravity's doing that work. Relaxing it downwards. So then let the left hand slide onto the left leg, and you'll slide that left hand down towards the left foot. Now both sides may feel really quite different from each other. We'll bring right hand, or they might feel quite similar. Really does depend. Right hand on the right hip. Start to rotate your spine skywards. You feel a bit less anchored on one side, like one side of the pelvis. I know this is a side my right hip wants to lift up, the right sit bone. Do try and bring weight down into it, anchor it. Left arm, right arm floats up. And slowly, as you relax into your breath, the spine may follow. The breath leading you down towards that left side. And And right hand floating down, so you've got hands on both legs now. And you'll start to now circle your pelvis. Okay, so from doing all this left and righting, we're now bringing back the spine into that central alignment. And maybe releasing a little bit of energy that may be a bit trapped or caught on one side or the other. We're now bringing that back into the core. And as we breathe in, allowing it to lift up through the trunk of the body. As we breathe out, to flow back into the base of the body. First you'll circle. And you'll arrive back into a still point in the center. So where do we want it to lift? Really up, I suppose, into the heart. From the heart, you can just kind of float up into the skull. But really that lovely feeling now, hands coming down to the belly, you've done all this work. Just gather your energy here at the base of the body. And then an intention. Doesn't matter about the feeling. Come as gifts. Up, hands rising up to heart level. Turn your palms so one's on top of the other and they're facing into the heart. Little light lift for your elbows. You can slide your fingers now away from one another until your fingertips touch, facing into the heart. And palms coming into a little bowl-like shape now in front of the heart. And we'll take a wide circle with the hands, like we did at the start, opening palms out either sides of the body. Nice deep in-breath as you arrive, palms above head. And out-breath, like a rain shower, breathing your breath out, feeling energy arrive back down in the base of the body. Take one more big circle. And then, when you're ready to, we're going to come down onto the spine now. We're arriving nearly in Shavasana, so arriving down on the spine. You want to hug your knees into chest. That's always nice to do so, and give your lower spine a little bit of a massage out from side to side. Coming into a twist, we'll take our feet as wide as the mat, so a little bit further than you might be accustomed to here. And then we're just going to drop the knees. Hands can be on the belly here. We'll drop the knees down towards the right. Kind of feel the legs a bit in a right angle shape. They may not get all the way down, that's all good. Just stretching there. Then holding right hand on the belly. Left arm then can stretch out into an L shape. You can rotate the spine over to the left arm. Sorry, confusion again with lefts and rights and all that. Rotate the head over to the left arm. Keep the spine where it is though, it just do its own thing, twisting. Bringing the left hand back down to the belly, covering the right hand, knees back to your center line. And once you've arrived there, the knees can go over to the left. And then from there, you can keep the left hand where it is on the belly, and the right hand will stretch out to the side of the body. And your gaze will come down the right arm towards the fingertip. Your knees back to your center line. Just touch your knees together now as your right hand comes to join the left hand. Give yourself a couple of deep breaths here. Before we stretch into Shavasana, nice deep out breath through the mouth. And then, legs stretching out. Toes can turn away from one another out to the sides of the body. Make any adjustments you need to along the central axis of the body. And then last stop, your hands can open out to the sides of the body, your palms facing up. And arriving in your Shavasana, a few rounds of breath. To feel flow in the stillness. Gratitude like an anchor. So with each breath, you're nourishing yourself with an intention of well-being, kindness, of care for self. Resting in an acceptance of this breath and the next one. Each breath as it comes. Each breath as it passes. would like to stay in your Shavasana for a bit longer, then carry on lying down. Otherwise, bring in a little bit of movement into your body. And as you move thumbs together over tops of fingers, toes, and the neck from side to side, open your awareness, your perception to your surroundings, sounds around you, how the body is in contact with earth. Feeling the space within you, reflect the space around you. And moving through this space as you bend your knees and roll over to the side of the body. And giving yourself a hug there with a few resting breaths. And then finding your way up and into sitting. So arriving in a comfortable seat and hands resting at the belly. Just closing our practice as we sit, finding space along the spine. We'll breathe in, lifting palms up to heart. And turning palms down, breathing out, belly. Another in-breath, lifting up to heart, and out-breath, palms back down. Your palms arriving back to the heart this time. And there, one palm on top of the other, and feeling the warmth of palms in contact with chest. And into this space, bowing the head. Feeling yourself. And greeting this self with gratitude. Hands into prayer and greeting each other. And eyes opening again, closing your practice when you're ready to. Thank you. We shuffle forward and I shall stop the recording.